structure, but I'm going to work every Thursday for now and then after.
What do you love most about America?
What we all love the most, the freedom. You know, we really do. Although, you know, we are constantly living with veils and truths of fear, we do have a lot of freedom. I do feel very free to do what I want to do what I want with my children, to do what I want with myself, my land, my dreams. Like, I feel very free to explore all those things without really any obstacles that would not be self-imposed.
That very spirit of innovation that I was talking about, I think that I believe that our country was founded on good principles, and I believe that the people that developed our system of government really intended for it to work. They intended for it to be the most improved system of government that had come along thus far, and they really did their best to set us up for success. And so you had that, and then, you know, the fact that many of the people in our country are descended from people that left their status quo, wherever they came from, with this belief, you know, this hope that they could make things better, not only in their lifetime, but that they could give their children a better experience than they had. And so you have a synthesis of an innovative approach to governing, and then you have many of the bravest and most innovative people coming here. It created just a really fertile ground for, you know, innovation and new ideas and open-mindedness, and a lot of the things that we have accomplished in the past and are kind of dealing with in the present. It all comes from the kind of like crucible we created for ourselves, or the melting pot, so to speak, of cultures. And that's something that I really appreciate about America and American culture. I think that in a lot of ways, the United States and our nation represents some of the best aspects of humanity and some of the worst, kind of all rolled into one. And I still do believe that dichotomy, the dynamic of that dichotomy, is still a fertile space for the inception of new ideas. You know, I always kind of have this notion that if we are going to figure it out, you know, and move forward into the next phase, it's going to come out of the United States. It's going to come from here, because this kind of is the latest and greatest social experiment of our civilization. You know, we're right in the midst of it, and success is not guaranteed. Mm-hmm. It depends completely on our personal choices and how we interact with our community and with the people around us, and how we not only implement those personal choices that we're making, but find a way to match them with the people around us and blend it and make it all work. Right. And there's a lot of people still doing that, and of which I give just great appreciation for that. It's the fire of the forge on which we are just kind of like beating our own selves and our culture. You know, we're being remade, hopefully, in this fire.
You know, this is also a difficult question, but I think what's difficult in talking about America is it's so massive. And compared to a lot of countries in Europe, per se, where you can have like a good idea of where, like, who you are and what your culture is. Like, America doesn't really have a culture that's American, except for me. Like, we try to create like burgers and fries. Like, that's what we got. And so I guess that's what makes America wonderful, is how many different cultures we can explore on this land here in the United States. Like, I have a pretty good idea of a lot of the East Coast. This is my first time on the West Coast, and everything in between I've driven through a lot of it, but I don't actually know what the United States is like. So I don't know. Like, what's my favorite thing about the US? Like, what's my favorite thing about the world. Like, there's not that much of a difference to me. It's all just different cultures and people. And I think that we're incredibly privileged to live in this country, like unbelievably so.
Yeah.
And I'm just like constantly grateful that I was able to grow up not only in this country, but in a like incredibly safe, incredibly open, liberal farming community. And I was able to grow up in this like bubble, like we call it the bubble in Western Mass. Not everyone in the US has that opportunity, but if I wasn't in the US, I would just have had a very different experience. But then let's say it was like the US or the Western world, you know? If I wasn't in part of a Western country, I would be having a very different life. Who's to say what that'd be like, but I am grateful that I'm here. And geographically, that's a whole other conversation, so beautiful. Like, there are so many beautiful extremes in nature here. Like, driving around, you know, you see the plains, and then you can go down to like Louisiana, or you can go to Montana, and like you can go to fucking Alaska and Hawaii. Like, at home, it's like so lush and green in the summer, and like it rains and it's humid, and there's tons of watering holes and swimming places, and then in fall it's like all golden and red, and like New England fall is like a big deal. And so it's crazy to be here, and there's a lot of similarities, but it's also like their summers are golden and hot and dry, and now it's fall and there's grass growing and like plants are regenerating, and I'm like, what? That's insane. Fall is when things die, like that's the whole point. So it's just, you know, you have completely different season cycles in this country. Like, what a amazing variety we have.
Yeah. So do you have any advice for anyone watching this that may be considering taking that leap for the first time?
Do it. We want you. Yeah, you gotta take the leap. Like, I mean, obviously it's not gonna be for everyone, but there's such a vast variety of experiences out there that's available in Workaway. Like, I've done more farming related stuff, but also hospitality, but like there's just so much out there. And especially for young people who are kind of lost, or like I know so many kids my age or a little older that are like, yeah, I'm in school, I went to school, I don't really know what I want to do. It's like, this gives you an opportunity to test this out and test that out and test that out for free. Like, that's incredible. People are feeding you. But also, I think what holds people back so often is this idea that it's like, I can't do that. Like, that's not for me. Like, traveling's expensive, or, you know, just there's a lot of fear around it because it's totally outside of the prescripted path. And yeah, and just what whole society expects of you.
Right.
And it's this idea that's like, it's not productive, or that like you're spending too much energy on yourself. It's like selfish or something, which like, it's just all of these ideas that we need to let go of, and like, you gotta follow your path. And if it's leading towards Workaway, like, follow that shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go back to school, maybe I won't, but this is teaching me way more than I feel like I could be learning, at least in the areas that I'm interested in.
What are your thoughts on the 50-year plan?
It's ambitious. I think it's a great goal. You know, I think the idea of spending time in a bunch of different people's worlds is really healthy. It helps us to put together through what we like and maybe what we wouldn't do, and just cherry pick a lifestyle and a future experience for ourselves. I think personally it would be probably hard to get through all those 50 years without meeting somebody along the way. I mean, whatever type of partnership, and like wanting to do something like what you've seen. That's almost like human nature, I feel like, to want to have connection with others, and then like see something that like really was exciting to you, or that you made you feel passionate, and want to recreate that with somebody and in some other way. But I feel like even whether or not that does happen for you, you're putting yourself in a position where you are, I just feel like perspective is so valuable, and you're just giving yourself so much perspective about what life can be like, and so many of those facets, and what you would do, what you wouldn't do, and what's even possible in relationships, what's possible in farming, what's possible in so many different ways. Yeah, you'll just have this like wealth of, you know, knowledge and perspective that you'll have for the rest of your life to draw on. It's like a PhD in humanities.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. I mean, I think that a lot of people probably that you've met and you'll continue to meet have some stories of months or years of traveling. You never hear anybody go back and wish they hadn't done that.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, like, that is the framework for, in some way, like, who they are and what they're doing now. Oh, that's cool. That's it. You know, that seems like one of the really cool things about traveling. And I mean, we can all practice this in our lives. The more attached you are to a certain routine and to certain people and to even, you know, your own projects, and, you know, you of course still have the ability to make decisions based on how you feel and where your heart is at, but you're kind of within a bubble doing it, where I feel like as you are continuing to travel and live more in a selfless service, that your bubble is much bigger and your options and your opportunities are much bigger, and your life can change a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's amazing. I think you're going to, you know, you're gonna get a really deep impression of, you know, how people out there are actually living, what it is people are doing, and how that is similar from state to state and region to region, and how it's different. It's inspiring to me. It touches upon my sense of adventure. It inspires my sense of service. I'm really looking forward to the book in 47 years or something.
Yeah.
Like the final, like, okay, the 50-year plan complete, and here's what I learned, you know, like, so you know, looking forward to that one.
I think it's ambitious. I'm really curious to see how it'll progress over the years, and what'll shift in your whole process, and what'll stay the same, and how long it lasts. I think it's interesting. Definitely not something I would be interested in doing, as we've discussed. It does remind me a lot of like the monk process or practice of like serving other people and traveling. Like you're like a traveling monk in that sense, just like becoming selfless and letting go of like self motivation and of material things. Like those are two very Buddhist concepts. So it seems very aligned with this kind of ancient tradition that a lot of cultures I think I've had, like this idea of the traveling person, kind of more permanently traveling, nomadic. So it is interesting to see like the modern version of that, like the blogger.
Yeah.
It's like, oh cool, like I'm glad we're evolving as humans. You know, it's always fun to see different people's lifestyle choices, because it's easy to, if you're in one place especially, to see a lot of people doing the same thing. And traveling has allowed me so many opportunities to meet people like you who are choosing completely different paths than what is expected of us. Like, not only are you choosing to travel as like a lifestyle, which is let alone different, but the whole concept of like not traveling for your own gain or not doing anything for your own gain really contradicts the cultural expectation that we have of what is worth doing. You know, capitalism breeds like selfishness and breeds greed, and so the whole idea is that like we're only doing things for ourselves monetarily, or, you know, in ways that are usually not actually serving us. So to see it's like a true rebellion against that is just like absolutely not living for yourself in that way, which, like, pendulums swinging, you know, there's always a middle ground. But I think it's good also to set an example to other people that there are so many different ways that you can live. Like, you don't have to prescribe to any, you know, higher idea of what you're supposed to do or any of that nonsense.
Balance, camera.